Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be going through my latest prediction for the 2024 presidential election. In this case, we have a matchup between Harris and Trump. We'll be going through each of these swing states and characterizing them, which way they will lean on the political spectrum. I'll go ahead and add a tilt characterization, since most of these states will likely be in that range. And we will just go in no particular order. We'll start out on the West Coast. So we have the safe blue wall of Washington, Oregon, and California. Then we get to the first swing state of Nevada here. Nevada is going to be an interesting state to watch. It's, let's check out the polls there to see what the latest data has been. So on average, Harris is up by about a point, or a little under a point, 0.6, which is interesting. I believe that is the similar, if not the exact same. Yeah, North Carolina, Trump is up by 0.5. So it's going to be a close state. Generally, the polls have kind of had a history of underestimating Democrats in Nevada while overestimating Democrats in North Carolina. So I think that that will probably be the eventual outcome. I will probably end up giving this state to the Harris camp. It will be by a narrow margin, but the polls are looking pretty good. It's going to be close for sure, but for now, we will do that characterization. And then next up, we will get to the state of Arizona. In Arizona, let's go to the polls. So Arizona is probably going to be one of the more Republican-leaning states. It's Biden was able to win it. It was by a narrow margin. It wasn't the closest margin. That state is still yet to come. But for now, pretty much all the polls have Trump up by usually about 2 points. I think it'd probably be somewhere between 1 to 3 points. 2 seems reasonable. So for now, we're going to give that as a tilt red characterization. Actually, it may even be a further leaning red characterization, but for now, we'll just go with tilt. Nonetheless, it is 11 electoral college votes for the Republican ticket, Trump and Vance. And then we will get to the state of Wisconsin. Let's go to the polls there, see what's going on in Wisconsin. So in Wisconsin, it has narrowed up a bit. As you can see, it's getting close. But again, Harris is narrowly ahead. Most of these polls have it either even or one candidate up by 1 point. But that poll there is sponsored by Trump, so probably not a reliable pollster. But even that one only has him up by 1, which is kind of interesting. So that's really a testament that it is going to be a close state to watch. But I think that for now we'll go with the polling aggregate in 538. I think it's going to be close, but for now we're going to go with a tilt blue characterization. I think that this state is probably the most likely to flip of the 3 we've gone through today. I think Nevada is probably, it's going to be close, of course, but it's going to be in the Democratic column, I would guess, and Arizona is most certainly going to be in the Republican column. The polls are looking pretty good for Trump there. And then let's go to the next state of Georgia. In Georgia, it's an interesting story. Georgia is also has a story of Trump being up by about 2 points. Pretty much all these polls, it's been a while since Harris was ahead. I don't think there's a remote possibility Trump is going to win by 7 points. But for now, we will give this state as a tilt red there, and that'll be interesting. Then we'll get to the state of Michigan. We'll go to the state of Michigan and the polls. Before we go to the polls, I think this state is most likely going to be the most left-leaning state. It has a history of being the most left-leaning state out of the 3 Rust Belt states, but for now, we will go with that rating. And then we'll get to the state of North Carolina. We can just go here. So this state is actually the closest margin 538 has. It's 0.5. It looks like Wisconsin, the second closest state. Okay, 0.6, and then Pennsylvania is 0.6. So yeah, 0.5, so half a percentage point, seems to be the closest state, which is in North Carolina. I think this is kind of interesting. I do think it will probably end up in Republican hands when all is said and done. But for now, we will go with, I do think it will stay in Republican hands, so we're going to give it as plus 538 as the polling polling just rate showing that Trump is leading in most of the fundamentals. And the polls, it's by a narrow margin, but nonetheless, that's a win for the Trump campaign. Then we get to the final, really the most important swing state of Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, this is the third closest state, and it has Harris up by 0.6 yet again. Some of the latest polls, though, have been pretty promising for her. This one is even. The Philadelphia Insider, I don't know too much about, or New York Times, Siena College, they're generally a pretty reputable pollster. Sometimes they do lean slightly left, but some of these polls lean right. We have the Trump-sponsored poll only has them up by 1 in Pennsylvania, which is kind of interesting. But anyhow, the polling aggregator at large that takes into factor a bunch of fundamentals and polls has Harris up by 0.6. So we will be giving that as a narrow Harris victory. And with that, didn't mean to change Maryland there. Switch that back. All right, and then with that gives us 276 electoral college votes for Harris to 262 for Trump. I think that the state of Wisconsin is probably the most likely to flip, and if Trump is able to win that, then it would be narrowly enough votes to win the presidency, 2 above the magic 272. And but if Harris is able to hold the state of Wisconsin, as the polling indicates, then even if Trump is able to win in Nevada, which is a possibility, but it would just not quite be enough electoral college votes to win the presidency. It would still be 270 for Harris. And in a really interesting situation, and this is a very unlikely situation or scenario, but it's possible that one of the districts here, let's say the district in Nebraska, and that one most likely will go to Biden. The polling is looking, or not Biden, sorry, Harris. The polling is looking pretty good for her there. But if she were to lose that congressional district, it would be a tie, and it would be a complicated process involving the House and the Senate. But it would be an interesting setup. But most likely, this second district here in Nebraska, this encapsulates the Omaha area primarily, and it is going to most likely be in the Republican column. There we'll go there we go. Anyhow, so feel free to let me know if you have any questions about my election prediction. I think that there are a lot of possibilities. Election day is coming up quick, and we'll have to see what ends up happening. I'll be doing a couple more predictions before the election officially happens, but feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.